Yes, brothers, welcome to today's video. Most men are completely sleepwalking through their lives. They're waking up tired, they're dragging themselves through the day, they're coming home, they're scrolling until their eyes hurt, which is why I'm wearing these blue light blockers. They pass out and then they do it again tomorrow. And somewhere in the back of their mind, there's this voice going, is this really it? Is this actually what life is supposed to feel like? I know that because I've been that guy. I spent years thinking the answer was outside somewhere, maybe a better program, a new city, the right opportunity, some piece of information that I hadn't found yet. So I consumed everything, books, courses, podcasts, you name it, YouTube rabbit holes. I knew more about training and nutrition than most personal trainers, and had all these opinions on every protocol. And I was still waking up tired. I was still dragging myself through the days, still waiting for something to click. And then around 2020, everything kind of shifted. And now I genuinely struggle to go to sleep because I'm so locked in on what I'm building. And I'm up before dawn. I'm walking my little dog Teddy as the sun rises. I'm attacking the day before most people have even opened their eyes. Not because I'm more disciplined than you, but because I've fixed something that most people don't even know that is even broken in the first place. So let me show you in today's video what that actually is. Right, so there's two traps that I see constantly, and they look kind of very similar. There are lads who think the answer is more information. They're reading every book, they've watched every video, and can debate the merits of any approach you throw at them. But they're not actually doing anything. They're researching the perfect morning routine instead of just waking up early. They're comparing themselves, they're comparing training programs instead of actually just getting in the gym. They're optimizing details whilst they're ignoring the foundations. So I know this because I did this for years, and there are many such cases, brothers. And then there's the lads that are absolutely grinding, the whole sleep when I'm dead mentality, this high octane, fake energy, caffeine, cortisol. An example of this was when I was working as a PT in London. I was up at 5 a.m, getting home at 9 p.m. I was getting these night sweats. I was literally running on fumes. My training was dog shit. I just whacked my hand. It's all good though, we're going to carry on. And my body was screaming to just stop, right? And this is not where you want to be. This is just going to lead you to burnout and not actually going to get you any further ahead in life. And here's what both traps have in common. They are both technically just drifting. Napoleon Hill wrote a book in 1938 that was hidden for like 70 years. It's called Outwitting the Devil. Have a look at that if you haven't already. And he interviews the devil about how he keeps people stuck. And the answer is by drifting. A lot of men in today's society are just drifting. They're reacting to life instead of directing it. They wake up and let the day happen to them. No definiteness, no sort of purpose, no clear intentions. They're just floating around, responding to whatever grabs their attention. And the opposite of drifting is having this purpose, knowing exactly what you're building and protecting that vision like your life depends on it. And that's what this morning protocol creates. A man who directs his day instead of drifting through it. There's a much deeper problem. They're just trying to run on this advanced software, right? On this broken hardware, as I put as an analogy. Your mind cannot function properly when your biology is compromised, right? Your thoughts aren't separate from your cells, your hormones, your entire nervous system, right? They are just a downstream of it. So try to think clearly think about when you're sleep deprived. You can't think clearly. Try to feel motivated when your thyroid is completely suppressed. It's the same kind of thing. So try to make good decisions when it's the same as blood sugar as well. You can't, let's just use blood sugar for example. Try and make good decisions when your blood sugar is crashing every few hours. It just doesn't work, bro. The hardware determines what's actually possible. And that's what I finally understood, right? You need to fix this hardware first, and then the software will update itself. Now, I wanted to tell you about something that happened recently that kind of put all of this stuff into perspective. My dad got diagnosed with cancer last year, or just over a year ago, and he started chemo. And there were mornings I'd wake up, and the first thing definitely wasn't content. It definitely wasn't training. Neither was it my clients either. It was just fear, that low level kind of fear that really sits in your chest and it doesn't really shift. And some days I didn't want to train. I didn't want to do any of it, man. But I fucking trained anyway. Not because I'm more disciplined than anyone else, but because the gym was the only thing that I could control when everything else felt like chaos, right? Those weights, they don't care about what's happening in your life. They're just there thinking, can you lift this fucking weight or not? And there's something clarifying about that. Something that really just cuts through all that bullshit. And I'd walk in feeling pretty shit. And I'd walk out feeling like I could just tackle another day, right? And recently I was listening to Dorian Yates as well on a podcast. He was the six times he won Mr. Olympia. He was the most jacked guy in history. And he talked about this kind of fuck you motivation. I'm just going to forward this slide actually because I wanted to put the quote on here as well. Here it is. There was this fuck you motivation, right? And what does he mean by that? He used this anger. The teachers who told him he'd basically do nothing with his life at school. There were people that doubted him. He lost his father at 13 and he said, without that, Dorian Yates, the bodybuilder, wouldn't even exist. If life is comfortable, you won't put yourself through this. So he essentially transmuted this pain into fuel. He turned everything that happened to him into this energy for work. And that is alchemy. That is first-hand alchemy. Taking the difficult, the painful, the challenging, and transmuting that into growth. You're going to suffer anyway through this life. You can suffer the pain of discipline, temporary discomfort in service of something greater, or you can just suffer the pain of regret, knowing that you had more in you, but you never accessed it. Both of those things are going to hurt, but only one of those leads somewhere. All right, so that's enough philosophy. Let's talk about what to actually do. If you've got 90 days and you want to wake up excited for life, and by the way, you're already going to make progress if you do this for 2-3 weeks. But here is the hierarchy in order of importance. So if you do these things first, do this before you worry about anything else. So getting outside within 30 minutes of waking. No sunglasses, let the light hit into your eyes and skin. Just get out for 10 minutes minimum. I'll do 45 minutes because I run my own schedule and I value movement and getting out for health because this is where I get all my best ideas. But this isn't optional, bro. This isn't just a nice to have thing. This is the foundation that everything builds on, right? Literally this morning before this video now, it was the first sunny day in the UK for about 3 weeks. I was out with my brother for sunrise. We went for a nice walk, got some coffee, nothing complicated. And I felt immediately better. That shift, that energy, the clarity. And after 3 weeks of grey skies and forcing it, one morning of actual sunlight and everything just hits differently, right? Your body needs this signal to set its internal clock. And without that, your circadian rhythm is going to drift away, right? Your hormones don't work at the right time. Your sleep goes to shit and your energy just becomes unpredictable. So more often than not, I walk Teddy, my Dalmatian. Don't know if you guys have seen him, but I take him out every morning as the sun comes up. If I miss that, everything else feels kind of like off. So a bit like, for example, like starting a car, you want to warm up the engine first on an icy day, right? If that makes sense. So this alone will do more for your energy than any supplement stack will. Cutting the brain rot ruthlessly, okay? There was a study at the University of Munich. They gave people a cognitive test. They sent them away for 10-minute breaks. Some of them just sat there, some of them scrolled through X, some of them watched TikToks, and then they tested them again. The TikTok group's prospective memory dropped. That's your ability to remember these intentions, to hold a plan in your head and follow through on it. And it wasn't about the content, it was the swiping, that mindless agency-free consumption that degrades this cognitive function, this brain rot. And there's a Russian physicist named Vadim Zeland who wrote a great book about this on pendulums. I'm always talking about this in my content, but it's very relevant to today's times. But essentially this pendulum is just a collective structure that feeds on your emotional energy. That can be things like the news, social media, political drama, the Epstein stuff, whatever, all this celebrity gossip, whatever it is. And they're designed to hook your attention and drain your frequency. And most people wake up, they immediately plug themselves into these pendulums before they've even had breakfast, right? They're checking the news, they get this anxiety, they open Instagram, they're comparing themselves to someone else on there, they read a work message, they open their emails, and they haven't even left their bedroom yet. And you don't fight pendulums, you do not resist them, you just stop feeding them. You become kind of just immune to it by being very quietly unavailable. And that's why this morning window is so important. It's not just a productivity hack, it's literally an energy protection strategy. Complete darkness, blackout curtains, taping over any LEDs, no phone in the bedroom. I've got red light everywhere. I swear by this. It improves my productivity, helps me wind down in the evenings, makes me work better. So I throw in as well, cool temperature around 18 degrees. Your body needs to drop its core temperature to initiate this deep sleep. And of course, obviously, no screens for at least an hour before bed. And if you must use devices, just flick it on red light mode. I've always got mine on that because I'm trying to make sure that I'm not tempted to be on my phone. So if we turn it on red light, you're not going to want to use it, or just throw it on grayscale, whatever. And your sleep is when you repair yourself, right? When you build muscle, when you consolidate memory. So if you compromise this, you are literally compromising everything downstream. A simple rule, if your great grandmother wouldn't recognize it as food, just don't eat it, man. It's as simple as that. You want to be avoiding anything with vegetable oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, all of that stuff. So just read the labels. I'm repeating this time and time again, but this is super important, of course. These oils literally will fucking send your testosterone in the gutter. They will suppress thyroid, damage mitochondria, drive this inflammation. No one wants to get fat. And they get stored in your tissue for years, right? So easy solution, cook with butter, use coconut oil, olive oil, tallow, and these stable fats don't oxidize when they're heated. So on top of that as well, I'll never track calories. I did once at the beginning of my journey, but since then, it must be 6 or 7 years since I tracked. I just eat whole foods and I pay attention to how I feel inside. So more often than not, just an example, I've had 6 eggs for breakfast pretty much daily for the last 7 years. Beef and rice for dinner, fruit in between meals. Sometimes I do fruit until noon depending on the season, and a raw carrot every day. That sounds really random, but the fiber binds to excess estrogen and that will help your body excrete it. It's very old school, but this shit actually works, so don't knock it till you try it. Training properly 3 to 4 times per week, full body sessions, compound movements, progressive overload. It's the consistency over time. The amount of times I say this on check-ins to other people, it's just the consistency over time, right? You can have all these fancy programs, but at the end of the day, you've just got to nail the basics. Okay, so 3 times a week is more than enough. That's the system I'm on at the moment, and the progress I'm making right now is insane. I've just fallen in love with training yet again, and it seems my physique is just getting better every week. So absolutely loving it. But also just move more in general, 10k steps a day. Maybe at work you need to take the stairs, walking to go and get coffee, take your calls out walking. All my business calls are out walking. So yeah, essentially your body was designed to move consistently throughout the day. So to be sat there for 8 hours, you're going to feel like shit. And this combination of training plus daily movement plus nature plus sunlight, this is more than any supplement can do. So get out as much as possible. 6 to 9 a.m. is where all the real work happens. This is when I write. This is when the articles that are blowing up on X at the moment get built. This is when the ideas crystallize into something that's actually worth sharing. So I've got no distractions in the morning. I've got no calls. I've got no one bothering me. No emails. This is my creation, right? If you are a creator, if you're in this game, you need to be using that time efficiently. Your brain is going to be the most freshest, right? Your prefrontal, sounds like I've lost my prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex is most active. Your willpower reserves are the fullest in the morning. And if you're burning this window, answering calls, sitting in meetings that could have just been a message, by 9 a.m, I've meditated for half an hour, created, moved, I've been doing push-ups, been out walking my dog, maybe a bit of journaling, whatever. And the rest of the day is easier because the foundation has already been laid. Just off the back of that last slide, actually, whilst it was on the top of my head, Hawkins mapped this kind of human consciousness, and at the bottom you had things like shame, guilt, fear, anger, desire, and a lot of guys will live in that kind of zone without even knowing it. And at the top we've got things like acceptance, courage, peace, flow, all that good stuff. But most people oscillate between kind of like fear and desire, and they're scared of losing what they have, and they're wanting what they don't have. And then they're angry, right? They're angry because of the gap between the two. So the practice that I was talking about just then on the previous one, the sunlight, the movement, the attention protection, they shift you up that scale, not through positive thinking, but through actually changing how your body operates. So this high frequency isn't like fake positivity. It's this calm, grounded aliveness, being very present in your body, clear in your mind, right? And that then brings me on to this slide. I know I was just speaking about that from the previous one, but it was at the top of my head. Your environment is your first discipline. A lot of people, I actually tweeted about this recently. People are obsessing over the gym. They'll track their macros. They live in a flat that looks like my old uni crack den. And your surroundings are not neutral, bro. Like, they're either elevating you or they're just quietly kind of like draining you. So having a cluttered desk, using these cheap, crappy products, the mismatched furniture, all of this speaks. And what it says is that this man is not serious about his life. So the Greek ideal wasn't just about the body. This was the entire picture. They understood something that a lot of us have forgotten, that aesthetics is literally a form of self-respect. So I curate absolutely ruthlessly now. The people, the products, even my to-do list, what I need to do. Everything has got this intention, right? Even the space that I walk into today, even this office setup with a standing desk, the red light, I always think, does it feel like a sanctuary built for a man on a mission, or a holding pen I haven't been bothered to improve? So when your environment matches your ambition, there is literally no friction. So you have two lives as a human being. The first begins when you're born, and the second begins when you realize what you are actually born to do. Most people have never started that second life. They are following this script, playing it safe, right? They go to school, get the degree, go to uni, get the shitty job, buy the house, get a mortgage, retire at 65, get ill, and then they die. It sounds a little bit morbid, but this is just the system, right? It's very predictable, it's very safe, and for most people, quietly desperate. Everything you actually want is on the other side of fear. The physique, the business, the relationship, the adventures that you want to go on, the purpose. Everything you actually want is on the other side of fear. That I know I just said that, but I have to keep saying it because this is crazy, right? The skill isn't eliminating fear. That is impossible. The skill is feeling the fear and just moving anyway, right? Nobody is coming to save you. No program, no guru, not winning the lottery, which means nobody can stop you either. Look, if you've made it this far already, you're not like most people, because a lot of people by now would have just clicked away from this video. They've probably gone back to scrolling. They've probably found something easier to consume. But you're still here because something in you knows that there's more things able. But you're still here because you know, something in you knows there's more available. And I've built something just for guys like you watching this video, and that is called Sons of Achilles. It is a free brotherhood for guys that just refuse to stay the same. We've got stuff on training, nutrition, consciousness, literally the entire system. This isn't just a course you watch and forget. This is a community with levels, trials, and things you actually have to earn, right? You don't just join, you have to prove to yourself. Also, founding members are literally getting in for free right now. I don't know how long that's actually going to go on for, but get in there now. The link's in the description. But other than that, if that's not for you, just drop me a like, drop me a comment, let me know what you thought about this video, and if there's anything more you want me to cover, just give me a DM and I'll do my best to do that. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and have a great rest of the day, evening, morning, afternoon, whatever it is. Peace.